Good evening, I'm Scott Hennessy.
And I'm Beth Farnsworth. The CDC says nearly 3 million U.S. adults have epilepsy. And for about 1/3 of those patients, medications do not stop the sudden seizures.
Right now, many treatment options for those with drug-resistant epilepsy are invasive and involve major surgery, but there's new research offering promising results. Mandy Gaither looks at a new study aimed at healing their brains.
It's a condition that's unpredictable. Epilepsy causes electrical storms in the brain, disrupting a person's ability to control their body.
It's difficult to live your life, to do predictable things, to have the confidence that I can safely drive to work.
Dr. Jonathan Parker with Mayo Clinic calls traditional surgery options for those with uncontrolled epilepsy destructive, as they include procedures like removing part of the brain or using a laser to destroy a small portion of brain tissue that's causing the seizures. He says these surgeries are highly invasive and often come with side effects like speech impairment or memory problems, and they may not always work.
We want all of our patients to be seizure-free, and that's the goal that we're working towards.
Right now, Parker is one of a number of scientists doing clinical trials of a new minimally invasive therapy aimed at healing the brain through the injection of cells that over time become part of the brain and hopefully help repair it.
What cell-based therapies are trying to do is restore that normal balance between things that are exciting the brain and things that are inhibiting the brain, and normalize that balance so it's less likely for a seizure to occur.
It's still early in the clinical trials, and the research is now focused on safety and efficacy of this therapy, but Parker says it's already providing some hope.
If this one goes through and it's positive and it helps patients, I think it opens up things for the future for these other disease processes too.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And the Mayo Clinic in Florida also has another clinical trial that's ongoing. This is for patients with severe epilepsy. Scientists there are combining deep brain stimulation with the implementation of special stem cells in the hopes that the procedure can better change the way the nervous system carries information to and from the brain. And it's called neuromodulation.
All right, here with us now live to talk about epilepsy and how it's being treated is epileptologist Dr. Philip McCarthy. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, nice to be here.
You're involved with some cutting-edge care for epilepsy. Are you encouraged by these early trials of cell-based therapy that we just heard about?
I think so. There's things that are based on stem cell transplants, and then there's also other gene therapies that are targeted towards specific receptors that are based on inhibitory and excitatory pathways for epilepsy. The center I'm at is involved in one of those gene therapies where we're using viral vectors to introduce RNA that helps with specific transporters in treating medically refractory epilepsy. So I think, yes, there's a lot of promise in either stem cell or viral vector gene therapies.
You know, about 50 million people have epilepsy around the world, so we're learning. Is there any known cause?
There's a lot of hypotheses. So some of those known causes are tumors, stroke, genetic abnormalities that can also be focal epilepsies as well as generalized epilepsies. And then there's the classic mesial temporal sclerosis that in most cases, or some 30% of those cases, can experience medically refractory epilepsy. And the thought is that maybe there's some relationship to a early childhood viral infection that produces that, but those are guesses behind why MTS or mesial temporal sclerosis happens.
There's no cure, right? We talked about the leading edge treatment of cell-based therapy. So what are some of the tried and true methods for helping people with epilepsy outside of invasive brain surgery?
Yeah, so outside of invasive brain surgeries, there's medications that you can try. However, 30% of those people experience medically refractory epilepsy. And regardless of the new medications we come up with for epilepsy, we still hit that same statistic. And that's been true since 2000, the early 2000s when they first did the study, and then a repeat study that showed those same findings. Other things besides resective surgeries that are considered are neuromodulation, like what was said, the deep brain stimulation, tried and true through the Sante trial, so that's stimulation in the nucleus or deep center of the brain. The other therapy is called NeuroPace or RNS, and what that is like a pacemaker for the brain in a way. It's targeted towards focal epilepsies that are medically refractory, and it detects signal changes in the brain in hotspots for seizures that are found through pre-surgical evaluation as well as depth monitoring with stereo EEGs. But that's another modality that shows promise that's less invasive. There's also laser ablation therapies that's common in the United States, as well as radio frequency ablation therapies that are less common but gaining some traction.
Dr. McCarthy, we have so many more questions to ask, but we really appreciate your time. We are running out of time. I was going to ask just real quickly if there are symptoms leading up to it, or does it just go right to seizures?
Generally, these people start with small symptoms with their seizures, and then they kind of gradually evolve over time. Medications are tried. Sometimes there's honeymoon periods in response. Other times there's not, and it just gradually evolves.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Good information to get out to our viewers.